But because of those things, she just couldn't, you know, bring everything together and keep it together. You know, she felt like she had to start from the foundation of building herself up again, and that she couldn't keep me in the picture as a as a partner and do that for herself. And then me myself, I've always been able to, you know, sort of, I mean, when you have someone there, in my opinion, it makes it easier to build yourself back up, because if it ever becomes difficult to do, you always have them there, you know, where you can lean on if you need them there. But when they're not there, it's like you can still better yourself. It's just, I guess it's just the fact that I always thought that we'd be together. And it's just made me so lonely. I just feel like that I invested something that was um, a resource that couldn't be replenished. You know, it wasn't a renewable resource. It was something that I only had one of, and it was a very, very big part of who I am. And whenever I decided to invest it completely in her, that was the only one I had. And when, you know, that investment went bankrupt, it was just gone. It's like betting the farm, you know. You lose the farm, it's just, you lost it. You lost the farm, it's gone. And just, I look around the world and I see that, I know that couples, married couples, you know, serious couples, they break up and they never get back together. I understand that. But how is it so easy for most of the world to just start over again? Just to, I mean, and this is really something that I am completely confused about. I don't understand how you can completely dedicate and say, I will be with you the rest of our lives. Like people who get married, it's in the marriage vows, forever, you know, till death do us part. And that's a literal translation, till death do us part. It's not supposed to be something where, unless we decide not to, you know, it's like you make that mental commitment. And, you know, I can't imagine getting, you know, married to someone and saying till death do us part, and in your head saying, well, you know, or, you know, unless we do get a divorce. Like, surely people don't think that. Surely people really, you know, are committed. They say till death do us part, and that means that no matter what happens, you know you want to spend the rest of your life with that person because you've made that commitment. And no matter what, you will see it through. And I know that Jenny and I, we considered ourselves married. I mean, it was no different from a married couple. One of the only reasons we actually weren't married legally is because we're not religious people. And that helped us, you know, not to have to rely on anything else but ourselves and our own strengths within ourselves. So, you know, she did tell me, she said, yeah, we'll spend the rest of our lives together. And she said that. I mean, I guess people just don't understand when you say that, that it's supposed to mean that you've made a commitment to yourself and that person that you will not break. It's a, you know, it's a promise that you have complete control over. Sometimes promises you don't have control over. Like, I promise I will buy you this, and you go out to buy it and they're completely sold out. Or, you know, for whatever reason you can't get that thing. That's an understandable break of a promise. Whenever it's completely in your control to keep that promise, then there's nothing that can break that promise but you. And if you break that promise, then it seems like that it shouldn't have been a promise. It should have been something more like them saying, we'll stay together unless we go through some really hard times and we might separate. You know, that just people were just, I just have a hard time just seeing how society is so lax on the idea of commitment and you know, and especially marriage, you know, I mean, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people get married and say, till death do us part, and death doesn't part them, you know, they part each other. And I just don't understand, like, what goes on in that person's head to where they can't hold that vow, they can't keep that vow. Like, it has to be a lack of control of themselves, you know, of a lack of follow through, where they aren't mentally capable of following through with it. That's what it is. And I mean, just as if, let's say a married couple get to get, you know, marry, and then the woman, you know, beats the man, or the man beats the woman, whatever. That man, if he's doing that, or that woman's doing that to the other, and they're causing that damage, that's them breaking the commitment. It's not the other person. And I guess I'm not going to really get into all that, but that's sort of a different subject. But I'm just really concentrating on the idea of commitment and, you know, seeing something through, and then all of a sudden, you know, a couple years later, a few years later, just changing your mind. It just, there should be things you don't change your mind about, you know. I mean, there's very good things to come from having a strong foundation that you can, you know, it's like your word. Your word is your bond. And that's been around for thousands of years, and there's a reason. That's supposed to be one of the most trusting, solid, permanent things in human existence, in human society, is someone's word. Someone's word is something that ideally cannot be broken. And that's what a promise is. It's a word, you know, someone giving you their word. I mean, I'm sure there's psychologists and sociologists that have done research on this, and they could probably tell me the answers to what I'm asking. It just confuses me how it's not practiced on a wide scale. That I know that the world I know in this country just doesn't seem to follow that very much. It's a very broken society in that respect. I mean, there's a 70-odd percent divorce rate in America. And that tells me there's 30% of people, and I'm sure that'll rise too, because, you know, the society's getting more lax on things like values of marriage and staying together. But 30% of people, I just can't, actually it's less than that, it's probably 20, 24, 25, 26% of people can follow through with a commitment like that. And what's the other person supposed to do, you know, that gets left sort of holding the bag? I mean, what are they supposed to be like, oh, okay, well, I guess they broke their commitment, I'll break mine too? Then that makes their foundation weaker for what their word is. It's like, if I make an agreement with somebody, even if they don't hold up their side, it seems like it's best, from what I'm, you know, concentrating on right now, to still uphold your end of the bargain.